Alright fellas, just a real quick update today on the channel. So I'm going to be doing a little bit on the Mustang, and I'll show you guys a couple of things that we got that came in the mail. What happened with this bad boy, I took it for a ride last week on Friday. When I got back, I noticed one of the bolts was actually missing. The lower passenger side bolt for the rear shock had actually fallen out while I was driving. I did hear something kind of hit the ground, so that must have been when the bolt dropped out. So from the previous owner, I know this guy was swapping shocks, must not have tightened it down. So no big deal. I'll have to pull off the bolt from the other shock so I can kind of figure out what bolt I need. I'll have to run up to the parts store, get a bolt. But there is something else we're actually going to bolt in. Let me show you. So I got the car jacked up. Ugh. Now this guy, the previous owner, had actually switched from the standard kind of shocks. They basically have like a threaded rod that come through this bottom here, and you attach them with the nut. What he wanted to do was switch them to this style here. Sorry, it's not super bright, but just basically a regular eyelet. So what he did was he just took some steel and welded up these brackets, which they seem thick enough. They look okay, but it's a little sketchy. So I'm actually going to swap them out with, he actually gave me the correct parts from late model restoration. So let me show you those. Whoop. So again, real simple bracket, but this one will just slide in. It'll get bolted, and then this just allows you to run a different kind of shock that has the regular eyelets versus the OEM shock, or OEM style shock. These were actually some air shocks, but these are the OEM shocks. So you can see that these mount differently where they just have the threaded rod. So a little bit different than a lot of the aftermarket stuff, and I think they want to switch it up to the eyelet style just to give you a lot more options. So rather than that kind of, a little bit suspect, a little bit sketchy bracket that he made, I'm going to go ahead and swap these in. I've already got them. They're free. Should take me just a minute. So I'll get those bolted in, and then we'll run to the parts store, get a bolt, and we should be back in business on this Mustang. So one thing I wanted to show you guys that I noticed, which I was kind of thinking, is if you look at this bracket, I don't know what you call this thing. Shackle bracket. It's where the shock mounts to. But if you look at the angle here, basically the bottom of this is even with these bottom of these bolts. And this one definitely is on much more of an angle down. So this must be why the car is sitting so crooked, especially in the back, right? So I think I need to see if I can hop on the old interwebs there and find two more of these kind of OEM brackets, because I could go ahead and probably bend that back, but it's sketchy that it bent to begin with, right? So I don't know why it bent, if the dude bent it, or if it's just old as shit and it's just bent from being 50 years old. So looks like a pretty simple bracket. If I can just order some new ones online and they're relatively inexpensive, I think I'd rather just do that. So especially if we're going on the power tour, we're gonna be driving this thing, put in some hours over a few days, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable having something new that we know is not all messed up. Plus it looks like the holes where this shock mount go into are kind of really, really big. Seems like maybe they got enlarged by this guy or whatever in the past, have been modified. So I don't know, it's a little sketchy. I'm gonna go to the parts store, get some stuff to put it together now, just so it's drivable and I can move it around the garage in and out. But I think I'm definitely gonna order some new brackets on that. As I walk back here from the auto parts store, one pro tip I want to share with you guys is never skimping out on hardware, especially when it comes to important stuff like suspension parts. If it's something trivial, sure, but when you're talking suspension, stuff that could potentially kill you or kill someone else or cause property damage that you then have to pay for or your insurance has to pay for, spend the few extra bucks, guys. I just went to the hardware store, bought a couple grade 8 bolts and washers and lock nuts, the whole 9 yards, and it was like $8 and some change. So well worth it. I mean, come on. The bolts that I'm taking off this Mustang, the guy just had some real cheap bolts that were metric, didn't even match. Just some weird garbage, and I don't get it. So for me, that's something I learned about 20 years ago. Build it right, build it once. So time is worth more than all that stuff. So spend a few extra bucks, get the right stuff. You'll be way happier in the end, especially doing the job just one time. All right, fellas, so got this one all in. So here's our little bracket from that company. Maybe I'll try to find it online, put a link to it in case you guys are interested for your Mustang. But so again, we just got some grade 8. I think this is a 5/8-16 bolt with a nut with a galvanized washer, and then a lock nut on this side. And then down here, this is just the bolt that came with it. And then I've just got a 1/2 inch flat washer on there too, just because, like I said, that hole was really large. So I didn't like the way that fit. I wanted to have the extra washer just to be safe. So we should be good for now. Again, I think I'm going to order new ones of these brackets just because the other side's hanging down a lot lower than this one. And then I'm not even sure what the heck. He told me like these are from a newer Mustang or something, so I'm not sure these are the right size and stuff too for this car. Eventually we'll definitely upgrade, whether we go with the factory style replacement suspension, like some adjustable Bilsteins or something like that, or whether we go kind of totally aftermarket with like a Caltrac setup or whatever. But anyway, that's down the road. So right now we just got to get this fixed so at least we can drive the car again. All right, so we got the Mustang back on the ground. We got it all bolted back up. I did try to use the jack to jack up that one plate under there to try to make it a little bit straighter. It may have done a little bit, but you can still see she's crooked. So yeah, maybe better than it was, but still not great. So like I said, I'll look around mine, see if I can get those plates. We'll try to get that fixed. But let me show you some of the other cool parts that did come for this Stang. So one thing that was missing on my Mustang is not the hood pins, but just missing the hood pin cables. So I wanted to have these just so that way I don't lose these stupid clips. So went ahead, grabbed one of these kits off eBay, real inexpensive. I'm not going to use this part, but this was like, 10, 15 bucks. Also, I'm missing a driver's front seatbelt. So I ordered these again off eBay, just real cheap. Got a pair of them. I think they were like $13 and some change each. So under 30 bucks for two of them, which is going to be fine. I'm going to switch those out in the front. I probably will end up ordering two more for the back. They're all black right now. So basically the back seats and then the passenger seat right now do have seat belts like this, but they're just black. I just wanted to change them to red, at least the front ones. I just thought it might look cool with the red on the car. And eventually I want to just kind of probably change this whole interior to black. So I figured the red seat belts would be kind of a cool little accent on the cheap. And then guys, we did go ahead and order all of the Wilwood big brake kit for the front. So I got the specific Wilwood kit for the 65 Mustang. I ended up getting the 12-inch rotor set up. I forget what it's called, Dynapro. So I'm still waiting for the actual, calipers and rotors to come. Those won't be here till probably the first week of August, cutting it kind of close to the power tour. But what did come are just some other, ancillary items that go with it. These are the front stainless steel brake lines. And I think this is part of the master cylinder kit, just like the proportioning valve, kind of all that good stuff. So that's all cool. And here's the actual 15/16 master cylinder. So this thing's actually pretty sweet, super lightweight. I'll have to actually, when I go ahead and pull out the original master cylinder on the Mustang, I'll have to do a comparison. This thing's all aluminum, so it's super lightweight. Looks like a real nice piece. So kind of excited to get that going. I may actually start popping this thing in soon here in the next couple weeks, just because I can get this part at least finished here. I don't have the hood popped, but actually on the Mustang, what they did with this 5-liter EFI swap is they actually put the computer is kind of sitting right here. So I'm going to have to kind of move some of that stuff, finagle it out of the way to be able to get access to this master cylinder, get that all swapped, and then once the actual brakes come, I just did the front brakes for now, so then I can actually swap that all out. And then maybe over winter or whatever, we'll end up doing the rear. So pretty pumped, spent a lot of money on this stuff. I think just this master cylinder with because this is actually specific for the 65. It comes with the adapters for the pedal, all that kind of stuff. This was like 400 bucks, something like that, pretty pricey. And then the actual, the braided, front brake lines, those were 70 bucks, 75 bucks, something like that. And then the actual front kit was something, because they're cross-drilled rotors, red calipers, that whole shebang. That was something like 1,100 bucks. So I think altogether we spent 1,600 bucks to upgrade the brakes on the Pony. But again, this is something I really want to drive the shit out of this thing, all over thousands of miles a year. So for me, I want it to stop really well. I want my wife to be able to drive it and feel safe, feel comfortable. So I want it to stop really well, just, like a modern car or close to it, right? So I think that'll hopefully help. You know what? Before I went in the house, I decided, heck, I got to put on these stupid hood pin holder thingy. So just wanted to show you guys real quick. All I did was just loosen up these two 1/2-inch bolts right here and just popped them on. So seems like a pretty good spot. I don't really have bolts in a lot of this other stuff, so should be fine. Let me show you what it looks like closed. All right, let's grab this bad boy. Would you just look at that? She's just already looking so lean and mean, baby. Yeah, there we go. That looks a lot cooler. Wish they weren't quite as long, but whatever. I'm just worried I don't want to be out somewhere and freaking lose these stupid things. So at least this will keep my pins in place. It did come with some shorter black ones. So yeah, I don't know if it's quite long enough. Yeah, I probably do like these little black ones better. Anyway, maybe I'll swap it out tomorrow. But that's it. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I'm going to call it a night, get back in the house. So hopefully you liked watching these little updates on the Mustang. So go ahead and click the like, subscribe button. Shoot me a comment below, and we'll see you on the next one.